world famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays, right here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and Fat Meat is definitely greasy. In the second hour, our creator, Gina Towns, will be joining us with Nee Cordelli-Corte, as well as John Lesiotis, two of my very great friends. I'm grateful that they'll be participating in Fat Meat Fridays with us. We'll round out the week with John Lesiotis and with Nee Cordelli-Corte, and of course, our creator, Gina Towns. But in this hour, Neil Foote, brand strategist, media executive, and AI-trained storyteller trusted by executives, entrepreneurs, and organizations seeking expert guidance for public relations, branding, and writing. With completed artificial intelligence trainings and hands-on experience, Neil integrates cutting-edge AI, digital media, and communication strategies to deliver forward-thinking, measurable solutions for clients looking to grow and stand out online. As an award-winning journalist and educator, Neil's career spans leadership at the Miami Herald, the Washington Post, the Dallas Morning News, and A.H. Bello Corp. He's managed national campaigns for major brands, nonprofits, business leaders, while pioneering digital media innovations and building teams for success in both legacy and new media. Known for his credibility and deep expertise, Neil excels at product launches, digital transformation, strategic partnerships, and campaign design powered by the latest AI tools. Neil, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to the conversation. An honor to be here.
I am so grateful that you are here. Just before the show began, Neil was reminding me that when I was in the Congress of the United States, Oscar Joyner and Tom Joyner, as well as Neil, used to stop by my office on the regular. And now that I know what Neil is doing, I'm going to find a way to integrate him into the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, our show to the next level, particularly and gratefully when we celebrate the 5th anniversary of KBLA and Tavis Smiley Audio Media Group's ownership of KBLA in Juneteenth. And I'm just excited to reunite with Neil under these circumstances. Neil, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Yeah, this is a deja vu moment. As I mentioned to you earlier, we had some great conversations. I had the great honor to work with Tom Joyner, which and thank you for my bio, but I've had the chance to work for some outstanding media organizations, but I can tell you, working for Tom Joyner, I've never been a part of a media company that could move the needle at any given moment, at any given time, by simply using his platform for, as you remember, right, Party with a Purpose. He could tell people, he could tell his audience, call this number, and they would call it. They would call Congress.
They would overwhelm the number, overwhelm the billboards and the switchboards, drive the operators crazy, force the corporate executives to be able to call into the show the next day to say, please stop.
Absolutely. I don't know how many times I would get a call, Jesse, from the chief administrative officer of Congress saying, whoever it is, will you please tell him to stop giving out our number?
Neil, welcome forward to the show once again. Neil, these are some fairly amazing times. And when I think about, one, the end of Second Reconstruction, the dismantling of the Voting Rights Act, when I think about all of the voices that we are hearing, the sheer bombardment of information, we knew exactly what to do Monday through Friday by tuning into Tom Joyner on the radio. Credibility that Tom brought to the airwaves, but also the guests that he brought to the show, the voices that mattered across multiple media platforms mattered in that era. But of course, the media platforms we are looking at today have profoundly changed the scope, the nature of the influencers and people. Almost every single American has a voice now in this process. And I think about branding and bringing credible names, ideas, and thoughts forward for action. The present environment is very difficult to emerge in that space. I can imagine that entire political parties at this hour need your expertise in their abilities, and as well as organizations, as well as companies, to be able to sift the fact from the fiction and emerge as trusted voices. Neil, we have a whole hour on this program, and I'd like you to begin by sharing how you got into this space, and then maybe we'll transition in some of the other segments into the politics, if you will, of how we fight as African Americans in this space, given the nature of the assault that we're confronting. First, Neil, how did you get into the space?
No, thanks for that. And yeah, there's so much to unpack in what you just said there. But I'm a kid from Do or Die, Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, who had a great family who fed me. They fed me not just food, but they fed the mind, right? They got me every book that I wanted to read, every magazine I wanted to read. I was into sports. I loved to write. And that's where I got into high school journalism. Ended up going to college, where I majored in government, but took every writing class I could, and ended up, as one of a handful of Black folks at Wesleyan University who ended up co-editing the campus newspaper before landing my internship at the Miami Herald, and that began my journey.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are going to be talking in this hour with one of the most credible voices in marketing, in branding, and helping shape artificial intelligence and how we can use it as a people in the future. More when we come back on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through this city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
For 70 years, the Humane Society of the United States has worked to end animal cruelty. Now, we're continuing that mission as Humane World for Animals, because we work around the globe to care for animals who are suffering today. And we tackle the root causes of cruelty for a kinder tomorrow. We are Humane World for Animals, and together we can make a difference. Help make change for animals. Visit humaneworld.org.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like nuclear reactor safety expert.
I disabled the backup cooling system. It was making such an annoying noise. You heard it, right? It was like,
we're on a countdown to core failure.
And you're saying we don't want that?
This is a job for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Farley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is Neil Foote, managed national campaigns for major brands, nonprofits, business leaders, media personalities, while pioneering digital media innovations and building teams for success in both legacy and new media. Neil, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Great. Good to be with you, Jesse, and have this great conversation about this topsy-turvy world in which we live today.
Neil, these are very, very difficult times. I remember in 1984 and 1988, after I introduced my father by the Democratic Convention, a gentleman comes up to me, a guy by the name of John J. Hooker, a Southern gentleman who had about 10 suits. All 10 of them were three-piece navy blue suits. He wore a watch that hung and connected to a button and hung out of his pocket. He had the same shirt, the same tie. They were all clean. He wore a big white hat at a company called Hooker's Hamburgers that was in a number of southern states. And he comes to me and he says, "Young Jesse, I want you to see my business and understand my business." So I went down to Miami to see his business, and he took me into a warehouse with literally thousands of robocall machines. He said he could talk to 1 million people anywhere in the United States or in the world, or within 1 hour. He could deliver a message to their phone calls. And then he shared with me what the secret to his business was. Of course, this has all changed. This was 1984, 1988. The key to this business is a recognizable voice. If just anybody calls, more than 500,000 people will hang up on the call and not take the call. Another segment of that same population may listen for a few minutes and then hang up. But he said, if I can deliver your father's voice to 1 million people, he believed 80% or more would stay on the call and listen to the message. He believed if the message were delivered by this voice, well, as president of the United States, if he believed he had Reagan's voice and he could deliver it to 1 million people, 90% of the people who received that call, even if it were on voice message, they would actually listen to the message because they believed the president of the United States called them personally. And it was larger in the success of his business at the time. He was looking for recognizable voices. We live, Neil, in an environment where there are so many voices. It is very difficult to determine those that are trustworthy, separate the fact from the fiction. So we began with Tom Joyner. We began with the brilliant leadership of Tavis Smiley. We know Cornel West's voice. We know Michael Eric Dyson's voice. How do we break through in this very complicated environment with a message of hope, a message of liberation, a message of accountability to our people, a message that says we got to vote like we've never voted before in this space? Neil, take your time.
You know, the key you said earlier in the show, trusted voices, right? And I can't stress the importance of what this kind of show and the role that, quite honestly, Black radio, Black podcasts, streaming shows like this are critical to helping us understand from our people, our voices, what's going on in the world around us from a point of view that actually has us in mind, but also allows us to listen, learn, ask our own questions. So my point is that these individuals that you've mentioned, including yourself and Tavis and others, you know, we have to, as an audience, embrace your shows, your messaging, engage in what kind of guests you're having, engage in the kind of messaging that some of your guests are having, starting to follow them, not only the shows, listen and read, pick up those Black newspapers in your hometown, you know, seek out those Black journalists who are working either for Black media or mainstream media, and begin to engage in really progressive conversations. Because here's what we're going to learn is that the only way we get through this disruption, through this chaos of what is real and what's not real. Your gentleman, Mr. Hooker, already was creating this false sense of comfort by sending you a call to your home where you didn't want that call, that was unsolicited. Now we're bombarded by technology where it could be in your social media feed, right, Jesse? It could be on your cell phone, could be a text message. Oh my gosh, look who emailed me. Can you believe it? And so if we have to take a step back, trust those voices that have been at this for a long time. 2, seek out those other voices who are working hard to make sure that our voices are being heard in all the places, in Congress, at the city council meeting, on the school board, on the zoning board. We have to seek out those individuals and make sure that they know that our voices are heard and that we are real, because the decisions they make affect us, so that despite the noise and disruption in media, how we have multiple forms, the way in which media are being distributed to us, still gets to us asking fundamental, basic questions to the people who lead us. And that's where it all begins. That's where we as listeners, viewers, readers, citizens have to understand that we have an opportunity here, actually, and I'm going to flip this, Jesse, to say, you know what? We can use those same tools to move people too. We can use those same tools to get people to remember that registering to vote is a right, no matter what happens. That's still a right. Going to vote is still something we have to do. Letting elected officials or people running for office as we enter these midterm elections that I know you've been spending so much time talking about on your show, is that we have to let them know we care. And we can use those same digital tools and AI tools to represent our voice and let them know that we care, we want to be heard, we want changes made, and we have a point of view that's worth listening to.
You know, Neil, when I listen to the very unique voice that is Tavis Smiley, I stop. What's Tavis about to say for a minute and a half, 2 minutes? What's he about to on? I got to listen and think critically about what it is that Tavis is telling me. But that credibility, of course, comes over time. Yes. When I hear Reverend Al Sharpton break into the news, or when through his multiple platforms he's speaking, I recognize that voice. And I can give you a slew of voices that I recognize. Increasingly, I can hear more and more of the voice of Stacey Abrams because over time, on the question of voting, she has earned, if you will, credibility in that space of voter disenfranchisement. And of course, in honor of my late father, it would behoove me to say that his voice over 6 decades earned space, agree with him or disagree with him, in that space when Jesse spoke, when John Lewis spoke, when Maxine Waters speaks. I hear their voices. I don't care if it's a young voice, an old voice, a middle-aged voice. I know Chris Rock's voice when I hear it. I know other comedians' voice, other entertainers' voices when I hear it. And when they speak on issues of substance, their voices have a way of penetrating beyond their career paths, particularly when they're on issues of substance, that if they are informed voices, they matter to moving generations of people into action that might not hear some of the voices that I've mentioned. And I'm wondering in this space, because on this show, we have been covering what it means to lose sections of the Voting Rights Act and for the Voting Rights Act to be struck down. When we look at voices like Cleo Fields and we look at voices, Jasmine Crockett, we look at voices who are being squozen, if you will, out of public life, out of elected offices across the country. How much more difficult will it be to penetrate into our own communities to deliver solid messaging that matters to the liberation of our people?
Well, I mean, excellent points there, Jesse, because we are seeing this complete ripping away of the things that we thought we always had. So I'm going to go to the fact that I'm this old school media guy, right? That grew up on newspapers and traditional, AM radio when, we were excited when we got FM radio, right? And the voices that we heard then, if we fast forward now to 2026, that the Jasmine Crockett, I'm here in Texas. So Jasmine's voice, while not in that seat, she still has an opportunity, as well as I hope Cleo Fields and others feel an opportunity to use these platforms, digital, social, internet, and good old-fashioned in-person conversations with our community, using all of those platforms to be authentic, to be direct, and to drive a call to action to make sure that they do not get lost. So that's from a community angle, from a global angle of using digital media to reach a global voice. And then also, I think it's really important that even when we look at mainstream media, whether it's the CNNs, the Foxes, the local TV stations, as a public, as a viewer, as a Black person looking at these shows, if we don't see their faces, we should find a way to call them out via social media or email or calling, because guess what? All of these shows, all these programs, TV shows, national or local, are businesses, and they count on people like us to watch them, to buy the products that their advertisers are selling. So if we let them know that we will not engage in their programming because we don't see more people like us, that we don't hear from those credible voices that we trust, then they will continue to go about doing what they think is what they want to do without even realizing the power that we have in our hands to really do something transformative, which is, again, using these tools that we have, that you're using as a platform to get out to masses of people to talk about these issues, bring credibility to the voices that are credible, that have agency in their communities and in broader communities. So I think we've just got to pull those forces together to say that we're going to use these tools to make sure no voice gets lost. Because, again, flashback even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we didn't have these platforms. Imagine if your dad had the platform of social and digital media to run for president, he probably would have gotten elected, right?
He probably would have gotten elected. There's no doubt about it.
Because he could have pushed people to move along with Joyner and Tavis, because they could have used all those resources to basically say, register to vote, get a ride, go there and make your voice heard. And I think we have to empower ourselves to do that as well today.
I sure hope the Democratic Party is listening to Neil Foote, who should be a major consultant with major political campaigns all across the country. I do have some questions. I know we have about 2 minutes and we have a hard stop at the 30. I do have some questions about our organizations that were founded at the turn of the last century. Really, including our fraternities and sororities that have a lot of their roots in Jim Crow. And after Brown versus the Board of Education, and we began a second Reconstruction, if you will, including the 64 Civil Rights Act, the 65 Voting Rights Act, public accommodations legislation. Jesse runs, Barack Obama wins. A surge of African-American elected officials, not just in Congress, but literally thousands of them, from mayors to city council persons, all the way down the dog catcher. We have engaged in this process because we were able to communicate messages effectively about our participation. It seems to me that as one of the nation's leading rebranders of organizations, that in light of the fact that I believe, Tavis believes, and many of us believe that we are now entering the end of second Reconstruction, if you will, and entering into a new Jim Crow, a 2.0. It seems that our organizations, Neil, going forward, need a rebranding more than they've ever needed, because the old tactics and the old methods do not work going forward in light of the fact that the court is not on our side, the Congress is not on our side, the presidency, the executive branch, the government is not on our side. How do we rebrand in the midst of this storm our organizations so that they can be effective, communicating across all of the generations necessary in order to be effective at the polls? I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We will be coming back in just a moment with Neil Foote. Neil is a brand strategist, media executive, AI-trained storyteller, trusted by executives, entrepreneurs, and organizations seeking expert guidance for public relations, branding, and writing. And I know a lot of politicians who need a rebrand right now. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is reflecting on his first 3 years in office and has not ruled out running for re-election.
We had historic low in homicides last year, the fewest amount of homicides in 60 years. There's a lot more work to do there.
Johnson is highlighting his work on violence prevention, reopening mental health clinics, and creating more affordable housing. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster is calling lawmakers back to discuss redistricting ahead of the midterms. Republicans could redraw the map to eliminate the state's only Democratic black majority district held by Representative James Clyburn after President Trump urged them to, quote, get it done, end quote. And rapper Kodak Black is facing new charges in Broward County, Florida for attempting to elude police and resisting an officer without violence. His attorneys are questioning the February traffic stop, saying officers did not use lights, sirens, or tell him to pull over. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Join in for Alex Vesia Bobblehead Night, Friday, May 29th versus the Phillies. The first 40,000 fans get to take home an exclusive Alex Vesia Bobblehead, presented by Starlux Airlines. For tickets and more information, visit Dodgers.com/promotion.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL schedule is out for the 2026 season. First regular season game is on Wednesday night, September 9th, New England at Seattle. This is the first time in the NFL's 107-year history that the league has scheduled a game on a Wednesday. The Rams will play their regular season opener in Melbourne, Australia, Thursday night, September 10th against San Francisco. The Chargers open the season at SoFi Stadium Sunday afternoon, September 13th against Arizona. The Rams, a strong contender again to make it to the Super Bowl, will be featured in 7 primetime games. The Rams have home games against Dallas, Seattle, Kansas City, Green Bay, Buffalo, and the New York Giants. The Chargers' home schedule includes the Rams, the Raiders, New England, Houston, Denver, Kansas City, San Francisco, and the New York Jets. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Let me tell you something about Los Angeles. This city doesn't have small problems, so it damn sure doesn't need small, weak leadership. That's why I support Karen Bass. She walked into a system that was slow, broken, and reluctant to change. She cut through red tape and started moving people off the streets into housing. She created the Office of Community Safety to make our neighborhood safer, supported wage increases for many underpaid workers, expanded contract opportunities for small minority business, and signed an executive order to give formerly incarcerated people a second chance. Karen Bass is about real change. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, and I've seen a lot of people talk tough. Karen Bass is tough. That's why I'm voting for Karen Bass, and you should too. So vote today. You received your ballot in the mail by now. You don't even have to go to the polls. Just fill out your ballot and hand it to your postal worker. No stamp needed.
Paid for by re-elect Karen Bass for Mayor 2026, 445 South Figueroa Street, Suite 2400, Los Angeles, California, 90071. Funding details at ethics.lacity.gov.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and Neil Foote is our very special guest, an award-winning journalist and educator. Neil's career spans leadership at the Miami Herald, the Washington Post, the Dallas Morning News, and A.H. Bello Corporation. He's managed national campaigns for major brands, nonprofits, business leaders, and media personalities, while pioneering digital media innovations and building teams for success in both legacy and new media. Neil, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Great to be with you, Jesse. What a great conversation we've been having, and looking forward to keeping the ball rolling here.
Nothing like the nation's leading subject matter expertise in this marketing space that we are in right now. Neil, let me make 3 very, very quick points and then allow you the freedom to do what you do best. Many of our organizations, the NAACP, the Urban League, were founded at the beginning of first Jim Crow. In my opinion, they need to get back to their roots. I'm not discussing or talking about the organizations that they are today. I'm talking about the organizations they were when they had to confront segregation and a separate and unequal system, and separate and unequal educational systems in order to fight Jim Crow 2.0. Those leaders were different. That's point one. There are lots of symbolic marches today and protests, but our marches and protests during the civil rights movement trained marchers for confrontation. I can't begin to tell you, I guess we can do the math, from 1965, marching across the Edmund Pettus Bridge to the present. We've had commemorative marches in Selma, Alabama. What makes a difference between the march in 1965 and the marches that we've commemorated is there was the expectation in 1965 that we would be confronting dogs, water hoses, and state police officers on the other side. And we would do it nonviolently. And the media of the world was watching. And they watched how we conducted ourselves as people fighting for their basic rights in America. And the overwhelming response to that drew sympathy and the nation's attention to our cause. So much so that the President of the United States had to address the Congress of the United States and move forward with the Voting Rights Act of 1965. That's just how embarrassing it was on the global stage, including but not limited to the fact that they cracked open John Lewis's head. And last point that I want to make, and Neil, it's all yours. Annie Lou Hamer then went to the Democratic National Committee and she testified to the Rules Committee about the problem of blacks voting in Mississippi. And when she did that, Lyndon Johnson heard that this credible black woman was going to be speaking at the DNC Rules Committee, talking about how black people were being treated in the South and other parts of the country. And to avoid that nationally televised testimony, Lyndon Johnson called a press conference to knock her off the news. He didn't want the country to hear what she had to say. And so I'm thinking in this moment that all of our marches and protests and resistance are not pointed at nonviolent confrontation, so that the imagery of our treatment and maltreatment becomes a factor in moving forward.
Well, you talked about, yes, sir. Now, I mean, that is a great setup, because you talked about kind of rebranding, which in rebranding, that doesn't mean losing sight of what your core values are, right? And the core values of the great organizations you just mentioned, NAACP, Urban League, you list those all, still have huge opportunities here to connect with an entirely new audience, like my daughter, 34 years old, right? Who, she only knows of those moments, right, Jesse, from what my wife and I tell her, right? Or what she's hopefully read, and she loves to read, and what she's putting together with her fellow young people who, are very motivated to move. She lives in New York, right? So the whole Mondami campaign was so resonant to her and relevant, because he talked about critical issues, about everyday problems that people have. And the people you just mentioned, right, they, and I think there's still a huge opportunity to have these organizations that so have represented us so well to begin to talk about those issues that are so important to young people in this country who are waiting for the moment, the call to action to get involved. And I have to say, and I have to stress this point, that the tools of which this generation have to get involved are more exponential than when you ran for Congress, when your dad ran for president. Yeah, I grew up with the late, great Congressman Shirley Chisholm. Imagine she was running for president in the 1970s against the headwinds that she faced. If she had some of those tools, that you had some of those tools that we have today, the power that young people are looking for. And what I hear is we want fresh voices. We want clear, concise, and call to action moments for them to be able to feel like they're part of the change, part of the movement, part of a generation that, again, I'm an OG, right? I admit,
we OGs, man.
We OGs, right? So we walk in the room and there's a group of young people who be like, oh God, what they're going to say, right? And I'm okay with that because we're going to embrace that. But the power of that is, look, I'm in this room with you young people as I am in teaching classes. I said, look, I'm going to share wisdom with you, but I am looking for you to share wisdom with me. I don't know all the answers, because the answers that I want to be able to give, I want to help give you the tools as an educator, as an OG, as organizations that kind of have an OG personality, as politicians who kind of have an OG personality. It's like, step out of the way, embrace the power which you have because you have the platform, but open the ears and the mind and use the tools, old school tools, in person, going to every church every Sunday, going to community meetings, new school tools, using all the digital platforms you can, social media wise, digital wise, to communicate messages every single day about issues that your voters, your people who want to believe in you, the people who are counting on you to step up, represent them, and take their cause to the end, to carry that through, and not just being, forgive the term, just a bunch of hot air, right? My daughter doesn't have time for hot air. She's trying to make it, right? She wants to know, what are you going to do for me today and tomorrow, and prepare for the future in a world which you framed earlier is being controlled by people who are trying to create a reality that they want, that they believe is right for them, because it's okay to exclude. When for us, as Black and brown people in this country, we know what it is to be excluded, but we also know how important it is to be included. And once we get included, as the country has already benefited from, we help companies make money. We drive people to the polls. We get competent, excellent politicians who represent our causes. We get CEOs who know how to drive companies to build global brands, who deliver for their customers. So that's just part of what I would say that we need to do here, Jesse. So
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Just before we come forward, I want to say this very quickly. Some of these organizations don't even have social media departments or ways in which they can communicate with the new generation. And I'm going to press Neil Foote on what is necessary and what is missing, without calling any organizations' names, on what they're going to need to do immediately to get the message out. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you still pouring gallons and gallons of water into a thirsty lawn that never seems to get enough water? LADWP has a special offer for a free water-saving front yard refresh available to eligible LADWP residential customers. LADWP handles all the work, including lawn removal, installing an efficient irrigation system, and planting beautiful California-friendly plants. Save water and lower your bill with a free front yard refresh. See if you qualify at LADWP.com/LEAP. That's LADWP.com/LEAP.
Tired of traffic? Metro D-Line runs Wilshire now with 3 new stops from downtown LA to Beverly Hills. No parking, no stress. Metro D-Line, the faster way across LA.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to number 1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. At the heart of the Al Wooten Center's mission for good citizenship and academic excellence is a desire to ensure that every student avoids the kind of lifestyle and overcomes the kinds of challenges that led to the murder of Al Wooten Jr. In 1990, founder Myrtle Fay Rumpf opened the center in honor of her son's life. In 2026, they are serving more than 300 students in grades 3 through 12 annually online and on site at their youth center and other sites in the South LA area. The Al Wooten Jr. Youth Center takes a neighborhood approach to the revitalization and empowerment of a community in crisis. The Wooten Center provides free after-school and summer programs to help students in grades 3 through 12 attain grade-level proficiency and promotion, high school graduation, and college and career access and success. The Al Wooten Center focuses on academics, STEM, the arts, and so much more. Join them for an enriching experience that sparks creativity and nurtures young minds. Tap in at WootenCenter.org. That's WootenCenter.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Created with a share of the 1984 Olympic Games surplus, LA 84 began operations in 1985 as a grant-making and educational foundation. Today, the LA 84 Foundation supports hundreds of nonprofit youth sports organizations throughout Southern California annually, trains coaches, commissions research, convenes conferences, and maintains the world's premier Olympic and sports library collection. They are transforming lives and communities through the power of youth sports. To find out about youth sports programs for yourself or your child, and to get information about the grants and support they offer to schools and nonprofits, or if you want to make a donation, please visit la84.org. That's la84.org. Or you can call them at 323-730-4600. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We've been blessed in this hour with Neil Foote. Neil, nation's leading, from my perspective, brand strategist, media executive, and AI-trained storyteller trusted by executives, entrepreneurs, and organizations seeking expert guidance for public relations, branding, and writing. Neil, before we go any further, is there a number that you want to share or an email address that you want to share with our listeners who are interested in the idea of rebranding so they can know how to get in touch with you?
Oh, absolutely. You can visit me at my website at Neil, N-E-I-L, Foote, F-O-O-T-E.com. There's a great form there you can use to contact me, or you can email me directly at Neil, N-E-I-L, at neilfoote.com. And I'll be glad to entertain your questions, your comments, and better yet, work with you to help tell your story, because that's what I do. I work with brands to help you better tell your story, because we need, the Lord knows we need to do a better job of communicating that. And I hope, Jesse, our conversation today kind of triggers some thoughts in people's minds about how we have to use the tools we have in our hands, right? Because that cell phone that many of us is with us 24/7, 365 is a powerful, powerful tool. And we got to learn to use how to use that better.
There is more technology in an iPhone today than there was used in the Apollo moon launch back in the late 60s and early 70s in the entire Apollo program. It's a very, very powerful tool. On the question of tools, and I do have just 3 little points that I'd like to make. The tools. What are the tools that the organizations who initiated our great struggle towards the beginning of Jim Crow that they should be incorporating today? Number 2, the messengers. I mean, I like Pearson. I like Justin Jones. I love Jasmine Crockett. I love Cleo Fields. I love these voices that are emerging. And these are potential consultants at some of these first Reconstruction, if you will. First Jim Crow organizations who, with their old titular heads running the organizations, should let these young leaders, under the wisdom and the coaching of the professionals, deliver the message, because the messengers do matter. And last but not least, Neil, we always ask our guests to close on a word of hope. The message, the tools, the messengers, the message. Neil.
Yeah, thanks again for the time today. This has been a great conversation, and we barely scratched the surface. But I'm going to say 3 key things that I say a lot in my public speaking and my teaching is that, we have to be the one who knocks, right? We have to knock on the doors using all those digital tools, old school tools, knock on the door to get in the room where it happens, right? So we can't be completely sitting out on the outside, throwing stones at the building or protesting and walking past the building. But if we knock on the doors, get in the room where it happens, so that when we get a seat at the table, that we not only are at the table, not on the side, but we sit at the table and really share our thoughts, call for action, share what we believe. And you said it in your book, for what makes a more perfect union. You and Tavis so eloquently over the years have talked about that, which is more so relevant and critical today, because that's what really fundamental. And again, the young people that I talk to and around with, that's all they want. They want that sense of belief that there's a generation of leaders that's willing to listen, to knock on the doors, to get in the room, and when they're at that table, representing the voices, the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations of a generation of people who want to see this world change. Look, President Barack Obama sent a message for a lot of young people, for my daughter, right? That was her president, right? And that hope still exists. We've got to use these tools to be better at what we're doing. And for a fundamental rebranding exercise, Jesse, that I do with everybody is, take a look in the mirror. Who are you? Who's your audience? Who should you be talking to? Who are you talking to? And why aren't you talking to the people that really are potentially the next generation? And lastly, what are the tools, the steps you need to put in place right now, today, to reach that audience to make change happen?
Neil, we have about 2 minutes before the conclusion of our program. Can you offer our listeners a word of hope?
My word of hope is that we are at a disruptive and transformative time. And I have to remind myself of our country's history and so many of the conversations that I've had with not only young people, but my peers, is how we have to remain hopeful because, look, my parents, my in-laws, they rode in Jim Crow buses, the back of the buses. They came from, rural Mississippi towns, fleeing racists who were running them out of town. I grew up certainly in Brooklyn, New York, but that was during the 70s. Do your history in the 70s, and you'll see that there's opportunity here. There are great leaders, great tools, and we can make change happen if we use these tools as a source of empowerment, engagement, and information. Thanks, Jesse, for the opportunity.
Neil, we have been blessed. Thank you so much. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Thank you.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Neil Foote, one of the nation's leading marketing, media executives, and AI-trained storytellers whose services are available. He left us his website. He left us how to communicate with him. Reach out to him. Our organizations are in need of a new branding. I'm even thinking about, at some point in time, we may need a new green book where we can go where we won't be harassed, talked about, shouted down, run out of the location. And we certainly need a new black book. Things that we can purchase in local communities, businesses that we can support. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Fat Meat Fridays. Our creator, Gina Towns, will be joining us with Ni Quarterly Quartet, as well as John Lesiotis when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is reflecting on his first 3 years in office and has not ruled out running for re-election.
We had historic low in homicides last year, the fewest amount of homicides in 60 years. There's a lot more work to do there.
Johnson is highlighting his work on violence prevention, reopening mental health clinics, and creating more affordable housing. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster is calling lawmakers back to discuss redistricting ahead of the midterms. Republicans could redraw the map to eliminate the state's only Democratic black majority district held by Representative James Clyburn after President Trump urged them to, quote, get it done, end quote. And rapper Kodak Black is facing new charges in Broward County, Florida for attempting to elude police and resisting an officer without violence. His attorneys are questioning the February traffic stop, saying officers did not use lights, sirens, or tell him to pull over. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Join in for Alex Vesia bobblehead night Friday, May 29th versus the Phillies. The first 40,000 fans get to take home an exclusive Alex Vesia bobblehead presented by Starlux Airlines. For tickets and more information, visit Dodgers.com/promotion.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL schedule is out for the 2026 season. First regular season game is on Wednesday night, September 9th, New England at Seattle. This is the first time in the NFL's 107-year history that the league has scheduled a game on a Wednesday. The Rams will play their regular season opener in Melbourne, Australia, Thursday night, September 10th against San Francisco. The Chargers open the season at SoFi Stadium Sunday afternoon, September 13th against Arizona. The Rams, a strong contender again to make it to the Super Bowl, will be featured in 7 primetime games. The Rams have home games against Dallas, Seattle, Kansas City, Green Bay, Buffalo, and the New York Giants. The Chargers' home schedule includes the Rams, the Raiders, New England, Houston, Denver, Kansas City, San Francisco, and the New York Jets. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays and Reflectivity with Gina Towns. Gina is the president and CEO of 519 Productions and the executive producer, creative director, and program director of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Smiley Audio Media's KBLA Talk 1580. She's also the host of Reflectivity on this weekly series, Fat Meat Fridays. A graduate of Hampton University with a Bachelor of Arts in Mass Media Arts and Journalism, Gina also earned a Master of Arts in Theology and Social Justice from Princeton Theological Seminary. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and to your show, Reflectivity, Fat Meat Friday.
Hey, Jesse, how are you?
All right, G, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank
We are particularly honored that a regular contributor every single night on KBLA Talk 1580, Dr. Nee Quartelai-Corte, is a political journalist, Pepperdine University professor, and prominent convener in the fields of dialogue and social change. Throughout his career, he has been featured on various media outlets, including The Oprah Winfrey Show, MSNBC, CNN, CBS News, News Nations, SiriusXM, The Griot, as well as a daily news anchor for Fox Broadcasting and Fox Soul. Now he serves as the host and White House correspondent for A More Perfect Union radio talk show and podcast produced by KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Nee Quartelai-Corte, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Good afternoon, my friends. How are y'all doing?
Hi, Nee.
Hey, Nee, listen, I can't thank you enough for when you fill in for me when I can't make the show. And I am so grateful for your leadership and for drilling home some of the questions to the administration that matter to our people at this critical hour. Your presence in the White House press corps is very important because we have few independent voices that remain in that room. Thank you so much, Nee, for your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
We're also being joined by a regular contributor. John Lesiotis has been a regular contributor to our Let's Talk About It series in season 1 and joins us for the Lighted Up series in season 2. He's a political activist, analyst, and every second Tuesday of the month, a guest on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show discussion series. John Lesiotis puts real talk in the middle of the floor about ways Republicans may view Democrats and Democrats may view Republicans in a dialogue filled with messaging and messenger truths. John Lesiotis, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse. Happy Friday, everybody. Hello, Dr. Gina.
Hello, sir.
Hey, I first want to begin by offering our sincere condolences to John Lesiotis, who lost his mother in just a few days ago, and we are so grateful that he would take time out of his schedule to spend with us. Our
Thank you so
prayers
much.
and our thoughts are obviously with you, John, during this period of bereavement. Thank you, John. Hey, Nee, listen, Gina, a really interesting conversation with Neil Foote in the last hour about marketing, about branding, Nee, about our organizations, many of which were founded in first Jim Crow, and I'd like to identify that period as being from 1896 to 1954. That's the period that our community has known the most violence from, quite frankly, the Democratic Party of the South that conspired with the Republican Party to deny the first 16 blacks who served in the Congress and in the Senate their seats. And if you remember, and history teaches us, because I guess we both don't remember, we weren't there when the speech was delivered, Phoenix, like one day the Negro will return to Congress. I feel like we're getting very, very close, Nee, to some member of Congress delivering another Phoenix speech, that one day we will probably make a resurgence in the Congress of the United States. But here's my prediction, Nee, and then, of course, John and Gina, please chime in. Here's my prediction that these redistricting wars, while initiated by the Louisiana case, are not going to be over this year. They're not going to be over in 2028. Obviously, when the census is taken in 2030 and the reapportionment plans of 2032 are implemented, by then the Department of Justice will have had plenty of legal opportunities to sue northern states that have drawn districts consistent with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, that we are at the beginning of a long battle, a long skirmish over the questions, Dr. Corte, of our representation in these bodies. Dr. Corte, your expertise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're far off with your prediction. I would actually add to your prediction, and I think one thing that organizers need to think about, this is what donor activists need to think about. We're looking at the founding of a new America right now. We're not going back to the way things were, and we've got to be clear-eyed about that. We've got to fight against the nostalgia that a number of folks have to just get things back on track. But my prediction is that you have all these Republicans that are redrawing these lines in favor of Republicans. Well, which Republicans? MAGA Republicans? Do we really think MAGA Republicans are going to win these races after all the lines are drawn? I don't think that that's very likely. I think what we might see is one of the biggest classes of blue dog Democrats elected to the Congress. And I think we need to really start thinking seriously about what that means for the Democratic agenda moving forward. If we think that blue dog Democrats are going to deliver the kind of Supreme Court reform that the people are calling for, we better think another way. But that's just me scratching the surface. I'm sure we have more to share.
When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, we are being joined on Fat Meat Fridays by our creator, Gina Towns, who will be leading our discussion with Nee Corte as well as John Lesiotis. More on KBLA Talk 1580 right here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays. And for those of you all who do not believe that fat meat is greasy, the Supreme Court of the United States showed us about a week ago that they are prepared to slide all of us out of the skillet and put us in a frying pan. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause cause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
For 70 years, the Humane Society of the United States has worked to end animal cruelty. Now, we're continuing that mission as Humane World for Animals, because we work around the globe to care for animals who are suffering today. And we tackle the root causes of cruelty for a kinder tomorrow. We are Humane World for Animals, and together, we can make a difference. Help make change for animals. Visit humaneworld.org.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Hey, it's the J Lunch Club. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns. Gina, welcome forward to the show.
Hi, Jesse.
John Lysiotis, welcome forward to the show.
Hello, Jesse.
Dr. Neat Cordelai-Corte, welcome forward to the show.
Hello, Jesse.
Doc, listen, I wanted to tell you that this new America that we're walking into, as I pitched this to our creator, Gina Towns, I was sharing with her during the break. Rebranding is kind of like putting on a girdle. You give somebody a hug and you kind of gave them a little squeeze, and then you realize that they've been engaging in some rebranding. Gina said, you have to tighten the corset.
Thank you for the visual, Jesse.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Doc. I mean, hey, you just let it all hang out. We are here. It is what it is. Ain't no need to say you're all uncomfortable. We don't need girdles to come back. Go ahead, G.
Girdles never left.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed
They just
that.
got new branding. Yeah.
G?
Well, you started this.
Well, no, Dr. Nee said that we're walking into a new America. Hey, I can get John Lysiotis right in it. John, we're looking at a brand new America after the redistricting decisions, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. John?
I would agree with you 100%. I would agree with that, Jesse. And also to elaborate with Dr. Nee, excuse me, what America are they redistricting at this point? Because the way the voters have shifted over the past couple of years, with African Americans shifting further to the right, Hispanic men shifting further to the right, young men in general shifting further to the right, the past couple elections, there's a lot of indications they're shifting back. So what they think they're redistricting may not be what they think they're going to get at this point. So all the generic maps are showing that Democrats are up anywhere from 12 to 15%. So I do fear, though, that the doctor is right on that. We may get some blue dogs. We may get some more Joe Manchins, Kirsten Sinemas, John Fettermans. So I think it's really incumbent on the Democratic Party to nominate young, strong, progressive candidates that have a populist economic message. And to go with the old style of politics is just not going to get it done. We're going to be stuck in neutral like we have been for so many years.
Let me help our listeners with a little terminology here. A blue dog Democrat is essentially a conservative Democrat that kind of functions between progressives and the Democratic Party, and oftentimes seeks bipartisan arrangements and relationships with the right. They're kind of in the middle. In fact, challenging the Blue Dog Coalition when I was in Congress was indeed a great difficulty because we needed them to help elect the Speaker of the House, but we also needed them to maintain our Democratic majorities. But that does not necessarily mean they're fighting for civil rights. They're certainly not going to be fighting for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, because what makes them a Democrat is the fact that they now have African Americans, let's just say a third in Tennessee in their congressional districts, potentially, but they tend not to cater to the blacks in their district. They spend a lot of time on the farms and in the rural areas with conservatives catering to the very people, for example, Gina, that John Fetterman caters to.
You know, the idea of big tent politics, I think, doesn't work. And perhaps that's why the Democratic Party, as is, has had such a difficult time preparing for this time. It's not like people didn't know that this was coming. This has been coming for a long time. And I don't know what one could think. Make America Great Again either goes back to the Civil Rights era, which is directly connected to the constitutional amendments 13, 14, 15, and for J.D. Vance, 19. He wants women to stay home. So I'm really just not, this is not about rebranding. This is about the heart of America. This is about the South shall rise again. And when I look at Facebook and the comments that people make on some, and let's talk about how Facebook has changed and social media has changed in this era. I mean, people are really free to say some very mean things. There seems like there's all of a sudden no more community rules in how people speak to one another. It's a bit very bullying, condescending climate that we are engaged in right now. And what has been unleashed in the United States is something that the laws were set in place to stop. And so now we have a really big problem, and we need those blue dog Democrats, should they be that. Or you may see the assertiveness of a new generation that really does take this over, and we have to support them.
Dr. Nee?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing the emergence of, when you look at the Working Families Party, for example, Brother John was just talking about the importance of a sort of populist economic message and how that might resonate with particularly younger Democrats and people who maybe decline to state across the country. You know, look at the rise of the Working Families Party. They've gotten a lot of people elected, and, you know, on the state level, on the local level, and on the federal level, right? And so even if we're living in a time where we see a rise in the number of blue dog Democrats in the Congress, they've got to bring the bacon home to folks in their district who may not be blue dogs. They may be Working Families Party. And so I think this is going to make for a very interesting period, in terms of, the big tent Democrats as we've known it. I think we may even be looking at a little bit of a civil war within that big tent. And so, the 2026 elections, particularly in places like California, where we're seeing this tension between, do we elect potentially this billionaire, who aspires to be a change agent, who's pretty good on a number of issues that are important to progressives, or, do we go with, the standard bearer, Javier Becerra, who has a good shot of winning, but whose relationships with big oil and fossil fuel, for example, bothers people. His inability to be able to say, point blank period, I support single payer healthcare in California. That bothers people. And so, this is a very interesting but defining times for Democrats. Democrats over the course of the past 10 years have largely defined themselves as being not about what Trump is about, not about that MAGA life. And we're hearing voters across the country say, you need to put a little bit more meat on that bone. We need to hear that you're not just about that MAGA life and you're against what Trump is for, but what are you about in the affirmative? And by the way, what difference is that going to make in my pocketbook? What difference is that going to make in my household? What difference is it going to make in terms of the issues that keep me up late at night and that I have to contend with at my kitchen table?
I want to ask John this question. John, the Blue Dog Democrats would be the anti-impeachment Democrats. They would probably shy away from the idea, given the new makeup of their districts, to not bother Donald Trump, suggesting that it would become more difficult to hold Donald Trump accountable with Blue Dog Democrats, whose districts have been redrawn, largely elected because of new minorities within their district whose anxiety and angst regarding Donald Trump are factors in their turning out to vote, making the district that they are now moved into more competitive. But those Democrats at the same time probably have no problem with Donald Trump's use of military authority in Venezuela, in Cuba, in posturing with Iran.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to identify the things that they can work with Donald Trump on. And that does not mean necessarily holding him accountable for the things that he has done.
No, I agree.
John, are we saying the same thing?
Yes, absolutely. We're saying the same thing. And I think the paradigm shifted a little bit from the old Blue Dogs to the modern centrist. I think we've got a lot of congressmen now that are centrist, like Brad Schneider in the 10th district in Illinois. He's part of a centrist group that's trying to move everyone to the middle. And as I've tried to remind them, as you're moving to the middle, the right's moving further to the right. So we should be moving further to left if you, in fact, want to be in the middle at this point. But he doesn't understand that concept. I'd also add, Jesse, a lot of it has to do with our relationships with other countries as well. A lot of the Democrats are afraid to vote against Israel with what's going on in the Middle East. So there's a lot of Democrats that don't toe the party line, and it's really hard to get a coalition to get a lot of stuff passed. That's why it's important for this next election, hopefully to get at least 53 Democratic senators elected, so it can be Fetterman proof.
All right.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It is.
Yeah. When we mentioned big tent politics on the Democratic side, I think that things are shifting a little bit. I don't know if it's an all-out civil war within the Republican Party, but certainly there are some Republicans who are feeling, the departure of Marjorie Taylor Greene and others, Candace Owens, who have criticized Trump and the administration openly. There are certainly people who have not let up the pedal on the Epstein files, have not been satisfied with the direction of the economy. And I think that part right there, I don't know if they can get through doing all that they want to do before these midterms actually do take place, redistricting or not. And if they can't get prices down, like for instance, I know gas is higher than it is in Northwest Indiana or in Chicago, because in LA, the gas is always almost $1 more expensive than anywhere else in the country. It is ridiculous. So I think that you're going to see some warring within the Republican Party and some more split off before all is said and done. Not everybody is signing on for what's going on and removing people from their committee assignments from state to state, and in particular, ignoring the vote of the people in Virginia.
Let me share something with you about the experience that I had when I was in Congress very quickly. I wanted Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker of the House and made myself available to travel around the country, Dr. Q and John and Gina, to travel as a member of Congress to other states to encourage African Americans to get out and vote, to encourage everyone to get out and vote for the Democratic candidate, because it was important that Nancy Pelosi be Speaker of the House. Now, I'm not going to mention the district. I'm not going to mention the name of the congressman or the Democratic candidate at the time, but I went to this particular district and I worked like a slave from 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 churches. And I got there and found out I'm the preacher at all of them. Then various luncheons and events up until the evening, up until nearly my red-eye flight back to the East Coast. I had spoken all day long, labor unions, halls, great crowds, and never saw the candidate one time, not one time, as a sitting member of Congress, and I crisscrossed the entire district. I heard one of my colleagues was coming in town that night to speak for the candidate, and I went to a college campus just to say, hey, I just worked myself to death here trying to get this congressman elected, and the candidate showed up at that event, and there were 12 people in the audience. So rather than campaign with me all day long, where I was actually touching thousands of voters, they chose not to be identified in the media with me as a congressman. They chose to be identified with this congressman, and there were only 12 people in the audience that night, rather than campaign with me and literally see thousands of people throughout the day. My point is, what's going to happen is those remaining African Americans in the Congress are going to be asked to work all of the black churches to help Democrats get a majority. But I'm telling you, as sure as I'm sitting here, even in my own campaign, there were candidates who would not commit themselves to voting and casting their first vote for Hakeem Jeffries. They identify immediately with the Blue Dog Coalition, and just as sure as I'm sitting here, many of those Blue Dog Democrats, when we regain control of Congress, are going to hold Hakeem Jeffries to a standard that they have never held any other member of Congress to. And just like the Republicans have their own civil war, where one member can throw out the speaker, just as sure as I'm sitting here, there's going to be a movement on the rules within the Democratic caucus to hold the first African-American male Speaker of the House accountable to whatever the standard is that is going to be, from my perspective, disrespectful. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, Dr. Neat Cordelai-Corte, and John Lesiotis are our guest. More when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is returning to the U.S. after a high-stakes summit with China's president in Beijing.
They just want to see a fight for independence.
Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One that Taiwan was a major focus of the meeting. On arms sales to Taiwan, he said he still has to make a determination. Oklahoma has carried out the execution of convicted double murderer Raymond Johnson, who was black. He was sentenced to death for killing his former girlfriend and her 7-month-old daughter nearly 20 years ago, after prosecutors say he set them on fire while they were still alive. Johnson was executed Thursday by lethal injection at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. And a federal judge has denied Tennessee Democrats' request to block a new congressional map. The lawsuit challenges the breakup of the Democratic 9th District into 3 Republican districts. The judge denied a temporary restraining order and canceled a May 20th hearing. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Join in for Alex Vesia bobblehead night Friday, May 29th versus the Phillies. The first 40,000 fans get to take home an exclusive Alex Vesia bobblehead presented by Starlux Airlines. For tickets and more information, visit Dodgers.com/promotion.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL schedule is out for the 2026 season. First regular season game is on Wednesday night, September 9th. New England at Seattle. This is the first time in the NFL's 107-year history that the league has scheduled a game on a Wednesday. The Rams will play their regular season opener in Melbourne, Australia, Thursday night, September 10th against San Francisco. The Chargers open the season at SoFi Stadium Sunday afternoon, September 13th against Arizona. The Rams, a strong contender again to make it to the Super Bowl, will be featured in 7 primetime games. The Rams have home games against Dallas, Seattle, Kansas City, Green Bay, Buffalo, and the New York Giants. The Chargers' home schedule includes the Rams, the Raiders, New England, Houston, Denver, Kansas City, San Francisco, and the New York Jets. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like nuclear reactor safety expert.
I disabled the backup cooling system. It was making such an annoying noise. You heard it, right? It was like,
We're on a countdown to core failure.
And you're saying we don't want that?
This is a job for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Let me tell you something about Los Angeles. This city doesn't have small problems, so it damn sure doesn't need small, weak leadership. That's why I support Karen Bass. She walked into a system that was slow, broken, and reluctant to change. She cut through red tape and started moving people off the streets into housing. She created the Office of Community Safety to make our neighborhood safer, supported wage increases for many underpaid workers, expanded contract opportunities for small minority business, and signed an executive order to give formerly incarcerated people a second chance. Karen Bass is about real change. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, and I've seen a lot of people talk tough. Karen Bass is tough. That's why I'm voting for Karen Bass, and you should too. So vote today. You received your ballot in the mail by now. You don't even have to go to the polls. Just fill out your ballot and hand it to your postal worker. No stamp needed.
Paid for by Re-elect Karen Bass for Mayor 2026, 445 South Figueroa Street, Suite 2400, Los Angeles, California, 90071. Funding details at ethics.lacity.gov.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays with the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Gina Towns. Gina co-produced the Emmy Award-nominated documentary Hampton University, One of the Wonders of the World, and as a songwriter, co-producer, and performer, her single, Yes, hit number 26 with a bullet on the Billboard charts. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Reflectivity on Fat Meat Friday.
We are reflecting today, Jesse.
Listen, I also want to acknowledge the presence of one of KBLA's star contributors, Dr. Nee Quartey. He is our White House correspondent. Dr. Nee, not only welcome forward to the show, but how can we listen to your show right here at KBLA Talk 1580?
Absolutely. We are on weekdays, Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. I want to encourage people to also subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. That way you get to listen to some of our most memorable interviews if you don't have a chance to catch us live.
Appreciate that very much, Dr. Q. And John Lesiotis. John, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. John is the regulator. He helps regularly contribute to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, helping us to see both sides and points of view. Oftentimes we agree, oftentimes we struggle to agree, but I'm so grateful for his contribution. John recently lost his mother, and again, we extend our sincere condolences to you and your family in KBLA.
Thank you.
Gina, I know that we're going to shift and talk a little bit about what happened in Virginia, but I did want to say this in part because I was particularly moved by Neil Foote in the last segment. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee at age 39. And I believe Malcolm was killed at the same age 39. This struggle has been a struggle led by young people. And in this moment, I'm thinking, Dr. Q, that the Jasmine Crockett's of life, the Justin Pearsons of life, the Justin Joneses of life, the Cleo Fieldses of life ought be heading some major organizations right now. And I know those state representative positions in Illinois and other states are essentially part-time, but these guys ought not just be special guests on panels at some of these major conferences. They ought to be leading the organizations themselves, while what my father said, they got the gusto, they got the energy, they know what they're talking about. And from those platforms, they can command national attention and even international attention. I am not going to back up off of that because, you know, some of us heading up organizations at 70, I'm not engaging in any ageism here. My dad once said, and I'll never forget it, he said he went to the Baptist convention and the youth director was a 92-year-old African-American woman. And the sermon that she preached at the National Baptist Convention every year was, "You youth need to stop having sex." Gina, I just had to get that out.
I'm glad you got it.
Thank you so much. We need some young people with some, what Dad called gusto.
Well, I think that it would be a refreshing change of pace because there are some people who probably have needed over the year to be mentoring someone in order to take over their seats, to move into Congress, to gain the seniority that they do have. So that has been a problem, and a little bit too late to work on that. And you're right. I want to go back to Virginia. When you look at what happened in Virginia, and if you want to, this has been a movement of the 10th Amendment. And in Virginia, it exercised its right to have an election, to discuss the matter at hand in the forced redistricting outside of a census year, as per the leadership of your nation. And Virginia took a vote, and the vote has been basically ignored. And so, we see a breach in the democracy that's far greater than, that's a earthquake, really. And to be able to feel the weight of that and see the movement to continue as it is, the people really have to stand up. This is a Boston Tea Party. This is, we will not put up with the king anymore. We will not pay taxes without representation. This is that moment in our country. It's really more than about removing blacks from their positions or not allowing, because with that goes the Hispanic position, that the Asian position, and people who have come in on the back and on the wave of the civil rights movement. So there is a lot at stake. And I'm not sure, here's the question that I have for the group of you is, I'm not sure everybody understands the magnitude of this. I was at a 8th grade graduation the other day, and I promise nobody knew what was going on. The parents. I agree. That I think that I'm talking to people who have not participated in the process in a while, and they have no idea what's at stake and what has gone on thus far. How do we reach them?
Well, I think part of it is understanding, how human beings absorb the shock of things. There's this really great book I've been reading by Darnell Lamont Walker. It's called Never Can Say Goodbye. It's the life of a death doula and the art of a peaceful ending. Don't nothing feel peaceful right now. Every time you turn on the news, every news alert you get is something new and abhorrent. I was just during the commercial break looking at my phone, and I see the New York Times reporting that the Trump administration is weighing a $1.7 billion fund for allies investigated under Biden. Right? This is stuff that we are not used to seeing. I think as leaders, I think we have to be sensitive to the fact that folks can only hold so much at one time, right? And as leaders, we've got to not just overwhelm people with information, but what are we going to do about it? How can we channel that into something constructive, something meaningful? That's part of what we're seeing right now in Montgomery, where with All Roads Lead to the South. And I want to encourage all of our leaders, learners, and listeners to go to allroadsleadtothesouth.com to get all the information you need to show up in Selma, to show up in Montgomery this Saturday. Folks are activating. There are buses of folks going in from across the country because, to your point, Gina, they recognize that this is a Boston Tea Party type moment. This is an inflection point in our country's history. And folks want to make clear that they're on the right side of history. The other thing I would say, to the point that you made early, Jesse, is that you're right. We have not done a good enough job graduating our members of Congress and public officials, into stewardship roles, post their tenure in elected office. And so guess what? A lot of them, they hang tight. Right. And again, I'm not going to be ageist. I don't think anybody in this conversation is trying to be ageist, but we're saying that different times sometimes require, sort of a different energy. Right. Certainly we communicate with one another in a vastly different way than we did even 5-10 years ago. Right. The demands on public officials are a little bit different. And so, we need an overhaul, not just in terms of our representation in public office, but leadership across industry, leadership in nonprofit organizations and foundations. This is the time where we need to bring in new energy and not cling on to the energy of the past.
We have about a minute before we come forward. John, didn't the vote, to Gina's point, in Virginia and the court's intervention essentially tell the people that their votes don't count?
Oh, 100%.
And it's likely that we'll hear more of that in the coming days.
Yeah, the Democrats actually got punished there for taking the to the voters. In the Republican states, they just overruled it themselves. The legislature did, and here in Virginia, they took it to the voters. The voters voted for redistricting, and the Republican-appointed Supreme Court says no, you can't do it. So absolutely, they're against the will of the voters.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, Dr. Nick Cordelai-Corte, and John Lesiotis are our very special guest. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelenos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for state superintendent of public instruction,
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for state superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail, and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Polly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Next Friday, we will be testing our equipment to receive your calls on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, interactive. We ask that you consider writing your questions down throughout the week so that when you call in, you can ask a question. Our new number will be 833-SHOW-JJJ. That's 833-SHOW-JJJ, 833-746-9555, 833-746-9555. Next Friday, we'll be testing our call-in technology. I'm honored on Fat Meat Friday to share this podium with the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Gina Towns. Gina had a career in the corporate world. She received the 3M Company's highest award, the Spirit of Quality Award, for those who have the vision and the ability to make it happen. Gina transformed her skills into full-time ministry in Chicago and later in Atlanta. She is a native of Gary, Indiana, and a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hey, Jesse.
Dr. Nee Quartelai Quartey, born into a Ghanaian-American family, Dr. Quartey holds a doctoral degree in organizational leadership and a master's degree in social entrepreneurship and change from Pepperdine University. Doc, you might be the last Negro to graduate from Pepperdine University, by the way.
We pray not. We pray not.
Under this administration, the Department of Justice today launched a lawsuit against Yale University, arguing that African Americans who had the same scores as Asians or white males were denied entry because African Americans with the same scores were preferred. Now, mind you, probably less than 1% of the class at Yale is African American at the medical school, but for those of us who managed to become doctors through that university, the Department of Justice is now suggesting that that program that literally saw us and understood that our doctors are coming home to our communities because Black people use Black doctors and white folks tend to pick white doctors, that somehow the institution discriminated against them by helping us with our disparities in our community. Dr. Nee Quartelai Quartey hosts A More Perfect Union. One more time, Dr. Nee, how can we listen to your show right here on KBLA Talk 1580?
Well, folks can listen to us on YouTube. They can listen to us on the KBLA app from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. And if you can't listen to us synchronously, you can check out A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. We have a weekly drop at the end of the week, and you can catch some of our most memorable conversations there.
John Lesiotis today is going to be offering us our word of hope. And just before I bring his brief introduction back one more time, John, Dr. Q, tell us what's going on with the White House ballroom. It's got to be disruptive to your work.
Oh my gosh. The White House ballroom. Well, the latest is that you have Republican members of Congress that are wringing their hands, trying to find a way to deliver for this president, one of his big pet projects. That price tag went from $200 million to $400 million to now $1 billion with a B, and they are looking for a way for taxpayers to foot the bill. And so Democrats have been doing their best to resist this. I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome this, but this is just one of the most outrageous assaults on taxpayers, quite frankly. And if that wasn't enough to add insult to injury, the president has sued the IRS, and the IRS and the Justice Department are currently trying to figure out a settlement. And I've seen some reports that there could be a settlement of maybe $1.7 billion that would be funneled to friends of the president. And so, there's no shortage of alleged corruption afoot from the ballroom to the IRS and beyond.
Hey, John. How about Iran?
Well, I think we need to look east for a little optimism. Straight across the country to New York City. And if anyone noticed a video clip that Mayor Mandami put out yesterday, he announced that in 132 days in office, they have reduced the deficit to $12 billion deficit in New York City in 132 days. They've
I found this on the web for 32 days.
So they've also, when they've done it, they increased the wage for snow workers to $30 an hour, universal child care for everybody in the city. And they've also fixed 1,000 potholes in the first 132 days. So there's a lot of optimism. I have a couple of friends that have kids that live there, and they say that optimism is off the charts for people under 40 years old. So let's take that for a lesson and hope that spreads across the country.
John, we're so grateful that you've been on our program. Dr. Nee Quartelai-Corte, grateful that you're here. And those of you who may not have been able to view our program, John Lesiotis, when his phone came on, he threw it to the left. So fixing potholes may not be all that we'll be fixing.
It was Siri.
we may have an Olympic gold medalist in our midst.
Gina, thank you for a wonderful show, and thank you for a wonderful week. It's been nothing short of extraordinary.
It's been extraordinary, all right.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Have a wonderful weekend. Look forward to seeing everybody on Monday.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.